Do you need something?
I'd like to get to know you better.
You would?
Is that a problem?
Not entirely. I'm just curious as to your motivation.
Is there any harm in us becoming a little closer?
Plenty.
Is that right?
As you wish. My name is Cassandra Pentegast, daughter of the Royal House of Navarra, 78th in line for the Navarran throne. I joined the Seekers of Truth as a young woman, and was with the Order until they withdrew from the Chantry. I remained as the Divine's right hand, carrying out her order to form the Inquisition. And here we are. That's all there is to know, my lord.
You're a member of Navarra's royal family.
The Pentegasts are a very large clan. Half of Cumberland could say the same.
Really?
No, but it feels that way. I have hundreds of relatives so distant they need charts to prove we're related at all. And they have them. Oh yes. The Pentegasts value their precious blood like it runs with gold.
So, not on very good terms with your family then?
I do not visit, if that's what you mean. The Pentegasts are famed for dragon hunting, but few actually pursue the craft. Most are fat and lazy. They pay lip service to the Maker and care only for idle pleasures and past glories. My brother was all that kept me in Navarra. Once he was gone, so was I.
Tell me about your brother.
I would prefer not to speak of Anthony. Another time, perhaps.
You don't seem to like your home that much.
My family polluted it for me. What little I saw of my homeland was through the bars of a gilded cage. My uncle treated me like a porcelain doll to be placed on a shelf and dusted only when necessary. Thus, I did not see Navarra, the real Navarra, until much later. By then, I realized I knew it not at all.
Your uncle? What about your parents?
They had the misfortune of taking the wrong side in the second attempt to overthrow King Marcus. The king executed them, but spared my brother and I since we were family, and children at the time. Thus we were raised by my uncle, a mortalitasi who preferred the company of his corpses to the living.
Your uncle was a mortalitasi?
A death mage. He still is. My countrymen do not burn the dead, they bury them in special crypts. The mortalitasi supervise the crypts, like priests. Uncle Vestalis oversees the grand necropolis. Navarrans spend more time honoring dead relatives than they do with living ones. It is odd to be so fascinated with death and its trappings. I will never understand it.
So you were the right hand to the Divine?
To Divine Justinia, yes. And Divine Beatrix before her, in fact. The position is normally reserved for Templars of the Knights Divine, but my circumstances were unusual.
Unusual how?
You don't know the story? Thank the Maker. I will tell you if you wish, but it isn't as exciting as some drum it up to be. The short version is that I once saved the previous Divine's life. My reward was becoming her right hand.
But what does a right hand do exactly?
What is your hand capable of? It gives, it takes, it beckons. It makes a fist. Liliana and I extended the Divine's reach beyond the Grand Cathedral. We went where she could not. After Beatrix, I was tired of the position and wanted to return to the Seekers. But Justinia convinced me to stay. Her vision for the future gave me hope.
You thought she could really change things?
Justinia knew the war was coming long before it began. She tried to avert it, but the forces arrayed against her were too strong. Sometimes you have to break a bone so it can be reset. That's where the Inquisition comes in. It was to be the answer. A means to preserve as well as an agent for change. I only wish she had lived to see it.
So what's the story about you becoming the right hand?
Sweet Andraste, do you really want to hear that? It was, what, 18, 20 years ago? Some still discuss it like it happened yesterday. The tale gets bigger each time it's told. I barely recognize myself within it now.
You're stalling.
To hear others tell it, I alone saved divine Beatrix from a horde of dragons sent to assault the Grand Cathedral. Rather impressive for such a young seeker, wouldn't you say?
And the truth is?
I stumbled upon a conspiracy to kill Beatrix. A Templar Knight Commander was at its heart. And there was a dragon battle at the Grand Cathedral that I had help from loyal mages who rallied to the cause. They freed the dragons from magical control. Without them, the Divine and I would both have died. Yet I became the right hand, and they are forgotten.
What happened to the mages that helped you?
They went back to their circles, with rewards and privileges and Most Holy's gratitude. Many of them died at the contest.
You're delightful. You know that?
No, I do not know that. I object. There is nothing delightful about me.
I beg to differ.
I think I preferred you in the stocks.
I'll let you get back to work.
Need something?
I've read your Tale of the Champion, and I have a few questions.
That's a pretty common reaction. Go ahead.
Your book doesn't say what happened after the Arishok left Kirkwall.
He kind of lost the tome of Coslin again, along with the thief. As I understand it, he returned to Parvalan to find the Kunari equivalent of a court-martial waiting for him. There's a new guy named Arishok now, and asking about the old one is a nightmare of logic and grammar.
In the book you say that first enchanter Orsino turned himself into a giant monster made of corpses? How? Why?
Do I look like an expert on magical weirdness to you? Well, I can't tell you how. For the why, all I can say is he was desperate.
Carry on.
Master Harry said that without more ore, we won't be able to get blades for the recruits.
Can I help you with something?
Farewell.
Make a go with you. Thanks for checking anyway.
Walk safely.
Reports of fade rifts and demons keep coming. The people are terrified, and it's only getting worse. The only thing that will calm their fears now is the hope that someone out there can save them. You have to be that someone. No one else has any power over the rifts. Seal them. Your legend will spread, and Thedas will learn to trust the Inquisition.
Why do you want me to seek out the rebel mages? Why do you care?
I've known mages. Some of them were better people than me. And yet I'm free and they're not. It's not right.
Anything I should know?
I've nothing to report at the moment.
They called you the left hand of the Divine.
That they did? What of it?
What exactly does the left hand of the Divine do?
A divine always has enemies. And Justinia had more than most. I protected her. I watched, had an ear to every door. I identified threats, and I dealt with them.
Why did Justinia have so many enemies?
There were many who felt she was unfit to be divine. She had a past, a worldly life. Unlike many, she wasn't given to the Chantry as a child. She chose it. And somehow that made her unworthy. And because they thought she was unworthy, they wished her harm.
So, you were her spy master too.
I handled difficult situations that couldn't be resolved through more delicate means.
I'd like to hear about Justinia. What was she like?
A friend. A mentor. Like me, she had secrets, made mistakes. It made her human. I think her followers responded to that.
How did you and Justinia meet?
I met her a long time ago, before she became divine. Before she was Justinia. When I met her, she was Mother Dorothea. I was at my lowest. Broken, lost. And she saved me. No, wait. She hates it when I say that. I saved myself. She just showed me it was possible.
Was there something more than friendship between you?
You're asking if we were lovers? Typical. I was devoted to her, therefore it must be romantic. Love is common. Love is simple. My bond with Justinia was something greater. She was a sister, a mother, a teacher. So to answer your question, yes, it was more than friendship.
We'll talk more later.
That will help.
What may I do for you?
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
Any thoughts on the people here?
Who did you mean?
I was thinking of Cassandra.
Seeker Pentagast is a princess of the Kingdom of Nevarra, although that barely seems important to her. She was not interested when I asked if we might make use of her royal relations. Still, the Inquisition would not have formed without Cassandra. She's an extraordinarily driven woman.
What's your impression of Solus?
I suppose I should be wary of an apostate, but our elven mage has conducted himself with the utmost propriety. And he has the most fascinating stories.
I was thinking of Varric.
Oh, I could listen to his tales for hours. He actually let me read a chapter of his next book he's writing. My friends would be sick with envy if they knew. It's excellent, but a bit different from his past works. Only 3 beheadings so far.
Commander Cullen came to mind.
The commander is an intelligent, cautious man. I'm grateful he's in charge of our standing army. Still, he does sometimes resemble the man with a hammer to whom everything appears as a nail.
Let's speak later.
Farewell.
Need something?
The red lyrium we found at the temple seemed to upset you.
My brother Bartrand and I sort of discovered red lyrium during an expedition in the Deep Roads. We located an ancient thaig, so old it barely looked dwarven. There was this idol there made of it. Bartrand brought it back to the surface, and, well, everything's gone downhill from there.
So what is it? Just another kind of lyrium?
The red stuff is lyrium like a dragon is a lizard. It's not just a different color. It has a whole host of weirdness all its own. I've written to every mining cast house in Orzammar. No one's seen this stuff before or knows where it came from.
How did the red lyrium get in the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I don't know. So as far as I knew, the only piece to make it to the surface was destroyed. And the location of the thaig it came from is a secret. Did someone find more of it in the Deep Roads? That's not a cheery thought.
What makes it special?
Regular lyrium can mess you up pretty badly, but you have to ingest it for that to happen. Red lyrium messes with your mind when you're just near the stuff. You hear singing, get violent, paranoid, and then it does creepy shit. Makes things float, brings statues to life. It also turned Kirkwall's Knight Commander to lyrium. Everyone's been kept at least 100 paces from it since.
I think that's enough on red lyrium.
Yeah, not really my favorite subject.
And you've seen no signs of the Grey Wardens anywhere.
So, this is it, huh? Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. Hear that? I meant the stronghold, but it sounded like... Well, it's funny, right? Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
The Templars and the mages? Most people pick a side.
Most people are stupid.
But where do you stand on the war?
In the frigging middle with everyone else. You know what I hear about mages? Nothing, until one goes all demony. Know what I hear about Templars? Nothing, until they take maybe mages. They're too busy to look up where the real questions are.
Is there something else you're looking for? Like what's behind all this?
Maybe. I don't know. First things first, right? I help you, march, arrow, kick. Then people stop being stupid, and everything starts to make sense again. Sound good to you, all chosen Lord Herald?
I'm committed to putting an end to this crisis, whatever it takes.
It's why I'm here, yeah? This is where it gets done, whatever it is. Can't do a bloody thing with everyone pissing themselves. Stupid everyone.
Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the... in their blood, the men.
I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
The Circle had plenty of problems, but it's an institution we sorely need.
I wish more people understood the truth of this. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
That's why you wanted to be here. To have a hand in deciding that fate.
Wouldn't you? For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
I was given this blessing by Andraste herself. The power is not mine, but hers.
We can only hope she offers you better guidance than she does the rest of us. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you.
Go ahead.
You know, we're riding my...
Maker, look at it. So much easier to ignore when it's far away. And to actually walk out of it. To be that close.
It's right there. We could take a trip if you're that curious.
I'm gonna have to decline. At least until I learn more about it. I have to admit, I thought you'd be...
Human.
Yes.
Being upfront is better than Oxman.
It was a foolish thought. Should have known better than to say anything. It's what you do and how you do it that's important. Just one question then. How do you think you fit in with all this?
A few of them worship me and think I'm destined for greatness. I don't disagree.
I don't think I've ever met someone quite so proud of who they are. It's refreshing. Suppose being called Andraste's Herald must go to your head. For me, I'll be satisfied so long as we find the bastards that killed the Divine. They owe us some answers. I've heard rumors of abandoned warden camps all over these parts. If we have time, I'd like to take a look. See if there's anything we can salvage.
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
You haven't had contact with other Wardens for a while. Why were you on your own?
It's what I've always done. Recruitment only requires one man. Besides, I've always been a loner. Works best for everyone that way.
The Blight's been over for 10 years. What do Wardens do when the world's not ending?
There is still Darkspawn. Just because we killed so many in Ferelden doesn't mean they're gone. And the world is not so peaceful that there's no use for good men with swords. Sometimes you have to figure out for yourself what the pledge to protect others really means. It's not always about just archdemons and blights.
Where were you during the Blight?
I was in Ferelden, on my own, like always. Quietly killed my fair share of Darkspawn too.
So you have no idea where the rest of the Wardens are?
Do you find that odd? The Blight is over. We don't need an organized force. And orders don't change much from day to day. For the last 1,000 years or so, it's been just find Darkspawn, kill them, repeat as necessary.
Let's continue this at another time.
As you wish. I'll be here if you need me.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps direct fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right into your face. Canary learned the same thing when we trained to fight Tevinter mages. Your Templar's doing good work.
Are your mercenaries adjusting to life here?
Getting there. No major fights with Inquisition troops, beyond the usual chest thumping. Don't worry. The Chargers have worked with other groups before. I'll keep them in line. Biggest problem for the Inquisition right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
Then maybe we need one. I'd be willing.
You? Huh. Why you?
I'm the Herald of Andraste.
Well, that gets you the believers. Doesn't do much for the rest of us, though. My people don't pick leaders from the strongest, or the smartest, or even the most talented. We pick the ones willing to make the hard decisions, and live with the consequences. Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
You think?
It could happen. It won't, but it could.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to know more about the Iron Bull.
The Chief. Last time I met him, he saved my life. I never thought I'd work for a Canary, but he grows on you. He's not like any commander I've ever worked for. That's for damn sure.
How's Iron Bull as a commander?
If you know what you're doing and hold up your end, he's easy. He doesn't accept any less. If he keeps us alive, he leads from the front, and if you've an idea that'll win the fight, he listens. I've seen bands whose captains had to prove they were swinging the biggest sword. Bull isn't like that. The Chargers might give him more lip than you'd expect, but every one of us would lay down our lives for the big ass.
Is it strange to work for a Canary?
He hasn't tried to convert us to the Qun, if that's what you're asking. The Bull's Chargers don't care who you light a candle for, so long as your shield stays up. If he hadn't told me he was Ben Hasrath, I'd have thought he'd left that life behind.
I didn't expect he'd tell you all that he was a spy.
Not the whole band, but those who've been around long enough to trust. He figures most of us would find out sooner or later, and it should come from him. Eyes to eye, he says. It's never messed up a job. He just writes letters back home. Lots of the boys write letters back home.
How did a Tevinter soldier wind up in a Kunari spy's mercenary company?
I wasn't a soldier at the time. I was in some trouble, trying to flee Tevinter. A Tribune and his men caught me in a border town tavern. They meant to make an example of me. Bull killed them. Gave up his eye doing it. Patched me up and asked if I was looking for work. I've been putting up with his jokes ever since.
That's how he lost the eye?
Yes. The guards had me on the tavern floor when Bull came inside and yelled for them to stop. One of them saw trouble coming and figured he'd finish me off. The guard had a flare. Bull put himself between me and the blow. Big-horned idiot. Didn't even know me.
We'll talk later.